is that smell? It smells like rotten eggs. Or moldy cheese? Wait. I know that smell. That's a gamer.
Baby, I need you in my life, Please don't go switch inside.
Yo, is that a PS2? You trying to play some Simpsons hit and run, my guy?
The PlayStation 1 was the best-selling console of the 5th generation. They would have to be pretty stupid to not make another. Coming off that successful first attempt, Sony decided now would be the time to bring the PlayStation brand to the next level. The original PlayStation was a good start, but its limitations as an early disc-based console were highly noticeable. If Sony wanted to continue to compete with industry giants Nintendo and SEGA, then they were going to have to go big.
PlayStation 2 was released in 2000 and it was an absolute beast. Full backwards compatibility with both PS1 games and the original DualShock controller. Select titles with online capabilities. One of the most legendary game lineups a console launch has ever seen. I mean, it was a whole ass clap and a half. The games released around the launch window defined that entire generation and created some of the most fire games the world has ever seen. Some of these are even my personal favorites.
The PS2 was the future, and it had gotten the jump on its main competitors. On top of that, its cheaper price point essentially destroyed the Sega Dreamcast, which was the only console that could even get close to the PS2's level of technical functionality at the time. The PlayStation 2 sold nearly 1 million units on day one, and keep in mind, gaming was still well away from being a mainstream hobby. 1 mil in a day was truly special. So, how many did it end up selling in its lifespan anyways? Oh.
The PlayStation 2 went nearly half a year without any competition before Microsoft and Nintendo released the Xbox and GameCube respectively. But 6 months? The PS2 had already won. Sony completely destroyed any chance of the GameCube or Xbox outdoing them simply by releasing the console as early as they did. Doing this was a little risky, but the PS2 had both the games and the hardware to appeal to pretty much anyone. It had a launch lineup that quite frankly hasn't been topped to this day. And there was even a DVD player that let you watch Shrek the Third with the homies. It basically had everything.
The interesting thing about the PS2 is just how long it stayed relevant. Normally an old console will still receive attention for a few years after the new console comes out, before it gets discontinued. But the PS2 lasted for 13 years before finally ending its reign with the release of Pro Evolution Soccer 2014 on November 8th, 2013. And you thought the title was clickbait, didn't you? The PS2 lived throughout the PS3's entire lifetime and was only discontinued on the exact day the PS4 came out. It was like a parent outliving its child.
Y'all, we cannot stress how important the PS2 was. This expensive piece of plastic was home to some of the best games ever created, most of which are still loved by gamer boys and gamer girls to this day.
You know what? My friend Fish here, who is totally right next to me right now, is absolutely right. I think I speak for the both of us when I say that this console shaped who we were as kids.
Yeah, me too.
That startup screen will live on forever in my heart. Staring into the spinning dark void of the PS2's intro sequence always captivated me. It was as if I was being pulled into the TV screen itself and transported into the brand new experience that awaited me every time I turned that system on. And then, that familiar sound played. It just doesn't get better than that.
This has got to be one of the most iconic system startups of all time. I don't know what it was about that generation, but they were just killing it with those. Just make sure you don't put a broken disc in there. Bruh. I don't like this place.
I always loved how the white boxes during the startup changed depending on the amount of save data on your memory card. That little detail, as small as it seems, adds a ton of charm to an already incredible product.
And guys, we are just talking about the startup screen right now. This thing plays video games too. The jump from this to this allowed developers from all over to create stuff that hadn't been done before. Just look at the jump from 𝕵𝕵 the Rapper 1 to 𝕵𝕵 the Rapper 2. I know, insane. From its very first game to its very last, the PS2 is pumping out gem after gem like it was nothing.
There were so many charming 3D platformers that even Nintendo got nervous. With the new hardware, they could make these characters more expressive than they ever were back on the PS1. Just look at my boy Crash.
Capcom was going hard. They made so much shit and even started a few new IPs that would live on the hearts of many a gamer girl for years to come. We got Onimusha, the Devil May Cry games, Okami, God Hand, and those are just a few that I bothered to think of.
Open world games finally saw the light of day with the new hardware. These kinds of games seem commonplace now. But back when everyone was rocking their Nokias, this shit was insane. For the first time, you could run around the streets of San Andreas, and Vice City, and 3. Wait.
If you're an absolute degenerate neckbeard like me and love yourself some JRPGs, the PS2 has got your back, fam. We got so many great series on this console, it's unreal. We're out here with Shin Megami Tensei, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Dot Hack, Xenosaga, and like too many more.
For the ultimate chads, there were games like SSX, Tony Hawk's Underground 1 and 2, Need for Speed, and the MX and ATV Off-Road Fury games published by THQ before they went bankrupt for making Jeopardy games and shit. Okay, point is, there is something for everybody. Whether you just bought this thing to watch some Monster House or play some Mr. Mosquito, the PS2 can satisfy you. Jak and Daxter, Ratchet & Clank. Two of the best franchises in PlayStation history, and they came out at nearly the same time. Ratchet & Clank, a series still going on today, started with a bang and only got better as the PS2 lived on. Buttery smooth controls, diverse weaponry, hilarious dialogue, and wacky alien worlds to explore were just a part of this incredible experience. Listen, if you can't appreciate a gun that turns enemies into sheep, then I'm really not sure what to tell you. But the one that influenced me the most was the Jak series. I'll never forget the time I spent playing these 3 games. I just couldn't get enough of them. I spent more hours than I probably should have collecting orbs, completing missions, and laughing along to some of the best written dialogue in any game I've ever played. Jak and Daxter was my first video game. It's what drew me into this medium. It was a huge open world with a grand sense of adventure and scale. It seemed as though you could go anywhere and do anything. Just don't swim too far out in the ocean.
Enemy spotted.
Its ideas were extremely ambitious at the time. This game has no loading screens, not a single one. That just tells you how drastically different the PS1 and PS2 were. That wasn't possible with the PlayStation's limited hardware. But with the PlayStation 2, it seemed as though anything could be done. And Jak 2 and 3 expanded on the universe of the original even more, adding large, claustrophobic cities and a massive open desert. From a technical standpoint, these 2 games were extremely impressive. They were both also really fucking hard. There was a point in time in Jak 2 where I just had to take a break from playing the game after months of attempting one mission. You know the one. But after a while, I was able to come back and conquer my diabolical foe, and eventually go on to complete the game. It was the first really hard game I had ever finished, and I'll never forget that feeling. You know what else I'll never forget? How many damn platformers there were on this console, dude. I mean, this system had everything from brand new properties, to returning fan favorites, to weird, obscure stuff, and even good licensed games. Kung Fu Panda has a 70 out of 100 on Metacritic, if that says anything. On the PS2 alone, you've got the previously mentioned Jak and Ratchet and Clank franchise, right? Now add in stuff like Sly Cooper, Rayman, Ape Escape, Psychonauts, Pac-Man World, Frogger, The Great Quest. Wait, no, not Frogger, The Great Quest.
I wish I may, I wish I must find a princess before I bust.
Point being, there were a lot of them, but that isn't all. How about a cult classic? SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, baby. Now this is how you do a licensed game. There were actually a few decent SpongeBob games on the PS2, but Battle for Bikini Bottom was the most popular. It was a pretty standard collectathon, but it had that season 1 through 3 SpongeBob vibe. This game felt like playing through one long episode of the show. Traversing levels based on locations from Bikini Bottom while listening to a soundtrack with that classic SpongeBob twang was more than my younger self could ask for. And hey, if you aren't as much into casual platformers, then the speedrunning community has got you covered, because speedruns of Battle of Bikini Bottom are straight up eye nut. Speaking of cult classics, I've got one more you guys might remember. G'day, mate. We're out here wandering the Australian outback today to meet up with our good bud Ty for a fair dinkum adventure. So, kick back with a jar of Vegemite and we'll have a ripper of a time. I should probably stop before I get cancelled. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger is another PS2 platformer that just oozes charm. I'll never forget the advertising campaign for this game that basically insinuated that Ty tried to fucking murder every other platforming mascot. I mean, hey, if you can't beat him, stab him with your boomerang, right? Ty sold pretty well and even turned into a trilogy, but it never got to the level of popularity it was originally looking for. Still, this game is super fun. There's some similarities to Banjo-Kazooie in its level aesthetics and design, and even Ty's moveset as well. But I'll personally always remember this game for the cutscenes, because they're fucking hilarious. But that's about it for PS2 platformers. I can't think of any more. Nope, not a single one. Especially from two well-loved PS1 franchises.
Okay, can we please just talk about this absolute madman for a sec? Hideo Kojima was on a rampage all throughout the PS2 era, and there was absolutely no stopping him. But before we talk about the obvious, boys, we gotta talk about a little game called Zone of the Enders. This game, that I really liked in middle school for some reason, is an anime mech hack and slash that was actually produced by Kojima himself. This game predates Metal Gear Solid 2 by a couple months, and famously comes with a demo disc for the game. Thirsty gamers trying to get their hands on that new Metal Gear bought this game just for the demo disc. I, on the other hand, bought it because I thought it'd be cool.
Richly crafted immersive story unfolds through stunning 3D anime-style cutscenes.
Didn't you see any of our people in the vicinity of Jehuti?
I don't know.
I mean, it's not that bad. The combat is flashy and fun on a sort of unga bunga monkey level, if you know what I'm saying. The cutscenes make me very happy, and the game doesn't overstay its welcome or anything, so it's all good. It also got a sequel that completely improves upon this game in every way, but this section ain't about Zone of the Enders. Sorry, this one's going to the boys.
What are you? What the?
You're a man?
MGS2 started production immediately after the first overwhelming reception. Kojima, who I imagine like floating over the Bikini Bottom at this point, was dragged into making yet another game for those greedy little bastards at Konami. Something about getting pushed back into working on a series that he thought he concluded had opened up some kind of creative fury in him and his team, creating probably the wackiest game in his entire career. Following Raiden, the player goes on a psychological and thought-provoking quest to defeat a group of terrorists in a marine decontamination facility. He meets all these crazy characters like this dude on roller skates who plants bombs everywhere, actual vampire, totally not Solid Snake, the President of the United States, and the other President of the United States who is also his dad, but none of it matters because it was all designed by the Patriots or something. Okay, look, this game's plot is completely convoluted and written by a genius Japanese man who's just kinda losing his shit, but at the same time, it's absolutely gripping all the way through and touches on issues way ahead of its time. If you're a big-time gamer, you owe it to yourself to play this bad boy and experience all the twists that people still debate to this day. But then, he made one of the best, if not the best, games of his career.
Look, he's spinning his gun so fast that the bees keep dying.
Acting as a prequel to the entire series, you step into the big-ass shoes of Big Boss during the Cold War, dropping into the luscious jungles of the Soviet Union to defeat a bunch of anime communists. This game is a fan favorite and debatably the actual best game in the franchise, with a simple but entertaining as hell plot and stealth gameplay that is leagues above the past two games. Not to mention, these characters are as entertaining and as wacky as they've ever been. While I'm one of those absolute scumbags that likes the convoluted-ass plot of MGS2, even I can recognize that this is worth your time, even if you've never played a Metal Gear game before. It being a prequel means you can jump right in and enjoy the absolute absurdity of this series, that I and many others cry about to this day. Thanks, Kojima. Very cool. This console, bruh, what's it gonna think of next?
Rhythm gaming became super popular in the early and mid-2000s. Games like 𝕨𝕬𝕝 the Rapper and Vib Ribbon saw success on the PS1, but the PS2 was where the genre made its mark, mainly due to the rise of rhythm game peripherals. And the main reason for that was Guitar Hero. That's right, before you losers were playing Snow Halation on your keyboards, us real gamers were tapping buttons on a $100 piece of plastic. Looking back, it's actually kind of insane how many people bought into the Guitar Hero hype. This shit wasn't exactly cheap. It was probably cheaper for parents to just buy their kid an actual guitar. I mean, it's the third highest grossing video game franchise ever made for a reason. But holy hell was Guitar Hero a success! Guitar Hero 1 and 2 were solid titles, but come on. Everybody knows Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock is objectively the best rhythm game ever made. This game was kick fucking ass, and in multiple ways. It had this hilariously stupid story mode where you and your band go from playing in your garage to getting dragged down to the fiery depths of hell and challenging Lucifer himself to a rock-off like in the Tenacious D movie. You start off playing small gigs with your bandmates, Greasy Big Chin, Chewbacca, and Dude Bro Drummer, and eventually you get to battle some of the most legendary rockers of all time. Like Pitbull. And you get to do it with the character of your choice. I always picked the blonde chick in the bikini top because objectifying women was what all the cool kids did in the mid-2000s. Anyways, the single player wasn't the reason people played this game. Oh no. Guitar Hero was where friendships were forged via local multiplayer. What's better than jamming your favorite tunes in front of a virtual crowd? Jamming your favorite tunes in front of a virtual crowd with the homies. And damn were there some fire tracks in this game. Like, the setlist really was great and had such a good variety of songs from different eras and from different genres. Okay, story time. I'm in 6th grade, right? My friend and I completed the main story co-op on medium difficulty, and we felt pretty damn good about it. We crank it up again on hard mode, only to get our asses kicked by fucking Slow Ride. From that point on, for literal months of time, I would wake up every day at 6 a.m. and grind hard mode. On school days, on weekends, it didn't matter. If I could, I was playing Guitar Hero 3. Just imagine if I had that kind of dedication for anything else in my life, right? After about 6 months of playing nearly every morning, I finally beat hard mode. It really shouldn't have taken me that long, but I was a fucking moron and didn't bother to learn what tap notes and hammer-ons were, so I was literally strumming every note. I'm surprised I don't have permanent wrist damage.
Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. Tight-ass controls, perfect pacing, heart-pounding action, a pretty boy performing wrestling moves on cultists to save a thought. What is there not to like? But we ain't talking about RE4 today, ladies and gents. This bad boy was on the GameCube first, after all, before being ported to literally everything but your leapfrog. Nah, we gotta talk about its prototype. A game that would inspire a whole new genre. A game that would spawn a series of dude bros with stupid swords fighting demons. Of course, I'm talking about Devil May Cry.
Don't they know I'm busy spoiling myself?
Let's rock, baby.
Before Hideki Kamiya was busy blocking people on Twitter and doing funny skits with Mega 64, he was actually a video game director who helped to create games such as the original Resident Evil 2. But when Capcom decided it was time to make RE4, they went through several ideas and directors before landing on the final product. One of these directors being Kamiya. He presented a Resident Evil game completely unlike the others up to this point. Instead of conserving your ammo and survival horroring it up, you would play as Kamiya's really cool original character named Tony. He was, and I quote, an invincible man with skills and an intellect exceeding that of normal people. His superhuman abilities explained with biotechnology. Wow, this guy must be really cool. After deciding that this was a little too far from the established atmosphere of the other RE games, they gave this beast full creative freedom to create his own series. Rebranding as Devil May Cry, it was released along with the PS2's legendary Holiday 2001 lineup to massive acclaim. You play as the half-human, half-demon Dante, who runs a demon bounty hunting business. One day, this chick on a motorcycle wrecks his shop and impales him through the chest for literally no reason, and it's just like,
I came here to seek your help. To put an end to the underworld.
So for the rest of the game, Dante scoots his pretty little ass to this gothic castle where you fight demons. Pretty dope, I know. The game boasts a combat system more complex and expressive than anything before it. It rewards the player for not only defeating enemies efficiently, but also looking like a badass while doing it with this style meter. Not gonna lie, the gameplay is a little rough around the edges and way too punishing at times, but come on fam, I can't knock it too much. It literally started the whole hack and slash character action game genre altogether, and for that it deserves some credit. We wouldn't get absolute masterpieces like Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance and Nier Automata without it. Anyways, the original Devil May Cry did well enough to get a sequel, but without the input of Hideki Kamiya. Yeah, that didn't turn out well, guys.
Girl, I shouldn't have to tell you why this game is bad. Just look up some other stinky gamers review. It's probably way better than what I could do.
But thankfully, after that tragedy of a sequel, a true hero, Hideaki Itsuno, stepped up to the plate to save the series, creating a third game also on the PS2. Welcome to Wacky Woohoo Pizza Man Adventures, ladies and gentlemen.
Holy moly.
After the disappointment that was Devil May Cry 2, DMC3 swooped in and slapped our nuts as hard as it could. The combat was expanded with multiple styles, cooler weapons, and an even better Dante. He's always cracking jokes and doing the goofiest shit I've ever seen. The only downside to this game is how brutally hard it is. In the West, we got Japan's hard mode as the normal difficulty. This damn Cerberus boss is like the second boss in the game, and it separates the boys from the gamer wizards. If you die too much, Capcom is just like,
"What's the matter, pussy? Gonna cry? You know the easy automatic mode is always there, big guy."
At least the music during this boss is hype. But yeah, difficulty aside, this game is so much fun. And while the other games after this improve upon the formula in my opinion, I'll always hold a soft spot for this bad boy. All the future releases of Devil May Cry 3, including the special edition, fix the jacked difficulty so you got no excuse, fam.
Or you could play like DMC5 is probably the best one.
You know what? I've always liked sports games. I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but those were the types of games I identified with the most when I was younger. Baseball, basketball, football, golf. Those were what I knew, so I gravitated towards those. Plus, they were games I could play with my dad. On the PS2, that resulted in games like NBA 2K, Madden, and MLB The Show. But I also discovered some games from some more uncommon sports. Those of the extreme variety.
Oh my god, he on X Games mode.
Skateboarding, BMX, snowboarding, dirt biking, racing. These were sports games that had a bit more gamer charm, if you catch my drift. They were always high speed, high octane action, filled with some of the most blood pumping, heart pounding soundtracks that were all very, very copyrighted, so I won't be playing any of it. Games like Need for Speed and Gran Turismo were a bit more realistic, but still had a ton of features that made them more than just simple driving simulators. Then there were games like SSX and MX Unleashed that really embraced an arcade-style gameplay, sporting crazy tricks and insane courses to race on. But only one man could be the king. And he was about to kickflip right into your heart.
Tony Hawk! Tony Hawk! Tony Hawk, everybody!
Did Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 not do enough for you? Well, here's 4 more masterpieces. Merry fucking Christmas. The Pro Skater series saw a continuation with THPS 3 and 4 coming to the PlayStation 2. Not only that, there was also the brand new Tony Hawk's Underground series making its debut. And these games were completely bonkers. Let's talk Pro Skater 3. This game advanced the mechanics of the series by adding the revert, which allowed for some absolutely insane combos. This game also added destructible environments, which was practically unheard of in 2001. There were hidden secrets, Easter eggs, an extremely detailed customization feature for both your skater and the course creator. There were recognizable pro skaters like Big Tony Hawk, Kareem Campbell, Chad Muska.
Whoa, Chad Muska?
And the most famous skater of all, Wolverine. Okay. This game had it all, and I loved it. Fast forward 1 year, and Pro Skater 4 hit store shelves, and I didn't play this one. From what I've heard, the character customization got improved while the course creator suffered a bit, and the single player got rid of the time limit in favor of more exploration-based levels, which would inspire the next game in the Tony Hawk franchise, Tony Hawk's Underground. The very next year, Jesus Activision, some things never change, do they? Luckily, the series wasn't having any issues with the yearly release schedule at the time because the gameplay mechanics were so solid, all they needed to do was change up the single player mode a bit and introduce some new places to skate around in. And that's exactly what they did with Thug. The single player mode actually has a plot now. You play as your custom skater, and along with your punk-ass friend Bitch Boy, you attempt to climb the ranks and become a professional skater by doing some ridiculous stunts during your journey. Every time things are beginning to look promising, Bitch Boy jumps in to ruin it. You impress professional skater Chad Muska and get invited to his showcase? Bitch Boy only submits his application. You hit a McTwist while jumping rooftop to rooftop over a helicopter? Bitch Boy edits the footage and takes credit for landing the trick. You design your own pro skateboard and go on a team trip to Moscow? Bitch Boy steals a Russian tank while drunk and crashes it, leaving you to take the blame and get arrested by the Russian military, only to get bailed out of Russian prison by the American embassy and have to do odd jobs and favors for the Russian citizen Bitch Boy disturbed to get back home. Sure, all of this stuff might sound incredibly stupid, and it is, but that's what I love about this game. It never takes itself too seriously, and quite frankly, it shouldn't have to. And lastly, there was Thug 2, which I barely played. All I remember about it was that you get kidnapped by pro skaters at some point in the story, and they like almost kill you, I think? But apparently it's pretty good. Yeet.
Where are my fighting game boys at?
Nah, I'm with my
All you freaks out there can let out a sigh of relief because the PS2 is just hitting it out of the park for the genre. Bro, I have no idea where to start. Some of the greatest and most celebrated fighting games of our lifetime were just dumped all over the place on this thing. Even though a lot of these games are cross-platform, most people probably picked these up on the PS2. First of all, we got ports of all the arcade classics. Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Capcom vs. SNK, Capcom vs. the cast of iCarly, you name it, they got it. Right off the bat, you got one of my favorite fighting games of all time, Guilty Gear XX, or XX, or X2. I don't... This game right here was bigger, better, and sweatier than any other Guilty Gear released up to that point, which is like 2. Guilty Gear X on the Dreamcast was good, but this beast is what truly got me into fighting games, and I've smelled like shit ever since. The combat is so fast and furious. You got air dashes, crazy ass special moves, and a massive roster of some of the wackiest characters of all time. Who wouldn't want to be chilling in a room with my boys Faust and Bridget? Homie, have you seen the tournaments for this game? Look at them go!
Oh my god! Goes for the early dust!
As you can probably guess, I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to the inner workings and deep technicality of these types of games. I mainly gravitate towards the ones that appeal to me aesthetically. Speaking of that, have y'all heard of a little game called Tekken? There's 3 whole-ass whopping Tekken games on the PS2. Tekken Tag Tournament, Tekken 4, and Tekken 5. Let me tell you, I have some crazy good memories of playing Tekken 5 with my friends before my copy of the game died. Tekken's gameplay can seem so archaic at first, but slowly but surely it turns into this addicting experience that you and your homies cannot put down. Rather than learning walls of button commands, while you still can do that, Tekken is more based on getting a feel for the game, mastering that flow and juggling your opponent like the little bitch they are. Everything is made so much more satisfying with those crunchy ass sound effects. Damn, bruh. On the topic of music, Tekken 5 has got one of the fattest opening tracks in any fighting game ever. It always gets me pumped to get my ass kicked in arcade mode because I'm bad at the game. Speaking of that, one of my favorite things about this console generation that we don't get much now are the openings. Everywhere you look on the PS2, there's stylish J-pop intros with stupid early 2000s character models. And I know what you're thinking. Who cares about the opening to a video game? You buy them to play the video game, right? I mean, true. But they really do so much to suck the player into a game's world. Think of games like Persona. the Digital Devil Saga duology, Guilty Gear XX, Silent Hill. It's hard for me not to think about them without these stylish-ass intros coming into my head.
Stylish like Kingdom Hearts?
Yes, Trey, like Kingdom Hearts.
Bruh.
Like beat me buying Musashi Samurai Legend like a year ago. It's a sequel to this action JRPG on the PS1 by Square.
Y'all know how much I love Square.
Anyways, I turn it on and I'm greeted by this dope-ass opening that completely shattered my expectations. I bought this thing for like $3 just because I thought it would be funny, but I was just blown away. It looked eerily similar to one of my favorite shows, Fooly Cooly, so I did some good old-fashioned research. So as it turns out, Hiroyuki Imaishi, literally my favorite animation director on the planet, and creator of such bangers like Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill, and Promare, that guy directed the opening to a game that I just kind of picked up one day by chance. Video games are pretty cool, not gonna lie. I mean, yeah, the actual game is okay, but, you know, that's not really important anymore. While we still have game openings today, especially with JRPGs, it's not as much as I would like. They're more like a commodity now.
Yep. They don't make anime openings like they used to, Bobby.
So are you Chinese or Japanese?
Jesus Christ, not this shit again. SEGA becoming a third-party developer after the death of its child opened up a certain blue guy's schedule. Yep, Sonic was on his way to every console in the 6th generation. Now I know this is a video about the PS2 specifically, so why even mention Sonic's name when he was sleeping with other companies too? Well, that's because Sonic games on the PS2 were notoriously awful. Allow me to explain. Basically, for some reason, the PS2 versions of Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog were absolute garbage. Game-breaking bugs, glitches, and a consistently piss-poor frame rate were just part of the problem, especially in Sonic Heroes. However, these were the versions that I owned, and I loved them. You see, my 7-year-old feeble mind didn't understand the concept of terms like frame rate and glitches. Instead, I was captivated by the visual harmony in Sonic Heroes graphics, which essentially means that I liked the pretty colors. And I still do, to be fair. From the amazing beaches of Seaside Hill to the bright lights of Casino Park, the environments of Sonic Heroes levels were distinct and beautiful. Is it fun to tumble around a pinball board like an idiot while staring at a pixelated mess of colors at 12 frames per second? Not really. But I certainly didn't care back then. I just enjoyed being able to play as some of my favorite Sonic characters. Shadow the Hedgehog was less impactful to my younger self, mainly because I had already seen a franchise I liked make the move from E to everyone to T for teen, and it did so with far less awkwardness.
Where's that damn fourth chaos?
There was also Sonic Riders, a hoverboard racing title that was actually fucking impossible to pick up and play, because it was just too damn complicated. But again, this is another game with an impressive visual style. This time, it was more of a shonen anime aesthetic, seen clearly in the game's kick-ass opening sequence. This animation quality for a 2005 spin-off game was pretty damn impressive, and it's definitely where all the budget went because the rest of the game fucking sucks. As it were, Sonic's reign on the PS2 was pretty underwhelming, but these games certainly left an impact on me. For better or for worse.
If we're talking about the PS2, I gotta talk about one of my favorite yet somewhat obscure games for the system. A hidden gem, if you will. My man God Hand, baby.
What? You need me to hold your hand or something?
Yo, if you haven't heard about this masterpiece, I don't blame you. It kinda came out at a bad time. The PS3 just released and people were more hyped to see Snake's old man ass in HD than to go back and play this game. I don't wanna be that one guy who just talks about how stupid the cover art looks instead of actually talking about the damn game, but just look at it, dude. Japan's cover art is so dope, we got this cool art of a fist. The US got so cucked. Anyways, God Hand was developed by my homies at the discontinued Clover Studio. When they existed, they made some ballin'-ass games. Like Okami and Beautiful Joe 2. At the helm of God Hand, we got absolute legends Shinji Mikami and Atsushi Inaba. More on those gamer gods later. As for the gameplay though, imagine Resident Evil 4, but you just go around punching the shit out of people. It's literally so much fun. You can customize like a million different punches to each of the face buttons. And if that level of straight up balls to the wall wackiness now you can customize yourself isn't cool enough, you can dodge in any direction using the right stick. While some of you probably thought that sounds really stupid, it creates this ass-clenching connection to you and the pro tag. The sense of flow you can achieve with this game is absolutely wild. It'll also kick your ass too, so you gotta get accustomed to these controls ASAP. While the story is basically total nonsense, it was goofy enough for me to stay invested the entire time. I mean, all that is good and all, but I gotta see what IGN says about this game.
Nice.
I can't come to an opinion myself about anything after all. I need some qualified super gamers to tell me how to feel. Yeah, you cannot bring up God Hand without bringing up the famously bad IGN review. They dubbed it as an unplayable, uninspired game while also completely missing the point of certain mechanics, failing to see the true depth in its combat. And look, I'm not saying you can't dislike a video game, and I know it ain't perfect by any stretch, but come on bro, this review was kind of the final nail in the coffin for God Hand's US sales. It's the reason that physical copies of this game fetch for like, that much. Thanks IGN, love you bro. But yeah, point is, God Hand is pretty dope, and if you like action games, you gotta give it a try. This story even has a happy ending. Remember our boy Atsushi Inaba? After Clover Studio got discontinued due to poor sales, this cool guy took his employees and founded Platinum Games, which is literally one of my favorite companies. I mean, hey, this video ain't about you. But honestly, it's so inspiring to see Atsushi Inaba and his merry men rise from the ashes to create Bayonetta.
God power keeps my pimp hand strong.
It's games like God Hand and the stories behind them that speak to my heart. It makes me remember why I care about these stupid-ass video games so much. The PS2 is so near and dear to me and my buddy Trey. The experiences that this piece of plastic provided shaped who we are, and that's pretty cool.
And that's what we wanted to get across in this video. The point was to take you all on this journey and share the things we love with all of you. The PS2 gave all of us memories that will last forever. And when life gets difficult and things may not be going your way, you can always look back and remember where you came from. And that's something truly remarkable.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing to both of our channels. It's free, and you can always change your mind.
You know what, man? That was so much fun. Fist bump.
I thought you'd never ask.
Nothing to do if you gotta do something. You gotta do something. Believe in yourself. 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 Oh. Hey! Extraordinary things can happen if you be.